What if I told you that there is an invisible temple, hidden from human eyes but described since the oldest times of humanity, including in the civilizations that preceded the biblical accounts? A temple that is not on earth, but in the heights. A sacred place where, according to Sumerian records, the greatest secret of existence was kept, the true origin of the human soul. Have you heard of Ikur? For the Sumerians, this was the heavenly temple, an abode of the gods where the destinies of men were written. But what almost no one says is that this mysterious concept may have even deeper roots, and surprisingly close to what the true Holy Bible reveals about the breath of life, the spirit, and the eternal journey of the soul. Why did the ancients hide this information? What did the gods want to hide from the world? And why do the biblical account and the Sumerian records, even so far apart, seem to echo the same celestial revelation, although in opposite ways? The soul was not born here, and this invisible temple may be the key to understanding where we really came from and why we are here. Get ready. Today we will cross the veil that separates the visible from the eternal, and in doing so, we will touch on truths that have long been silenced. But before revealing what was kept in this invisible temple, we need to understand who really spoke behind the Sumerian gods. And before we go even deeper into this revelation, I want to make an important invitation. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like there's something inside you that doesn't fit into this world? That your soul carries an ancient memory, as if something were sleeping, waiting to awaken? Right below, I feel like there is something more, if that makes sense to you. Because this conversation is not just mine, it's ours. Every comment you leave here helps this video reach other souls who are also looking for answers. People who, like you, are not satisfied with the superficial and want to delve into forgotten truths. And if you've come this far, it's because something inside you has already awakened. So, don't forget to leave a like now. This shows the algorithm that this content has value. And yes, he needs to reach those who are still sleeping. Also take advantage and subscribe to the channel. Here you won't find ready-made answers, but you will find questions that really matter. Let's explore together the spiritual mysteries that many avoid, with respect, depth, and a foundation in that which is eternal, because the invisible temple is revealing itself, and what comes next will change everything you think about the soul, spirit, and eternity. The Bible reveals something great and often ignored, the existence of a temple that was not built by human hands. Hebrews 9:11 speaks of this place in a direct but veiled way, a heavenly sanctuary, real but inaccessible to carnal eyes, a place where the divine presence dwells without intermediaries, where time does not limit, where matter does not control. An invisible temple, but more real than any building made on earth, a place that cannot be destroyed, as it is beyond the reach of human corruption. But what few realize is that this temple is not just a metaphor. He is mentioned as something that exists, that operates, that is alive on the celestial plane. It is not just a symbol, it is a spiritual reality. Interestingly, the ancient Sumerians, who lived thousands of years before many of the biblical texts were written, also spoke of a similar place. They called it Ikur, literally, the sacred mountain. Described as the abode of the gods, the Ikur was the center of judgment, of destiny, of origin. On the clay tablets, they recorded that the eternal decrees, the records of creation, and the secrets of human existence were kept there. Doesn't that sound familiar? The Bible also speaks of spiritual books, such as the Book of Life, where names are recorded and the destinies of souls are sealed. Now stop and think with me. How can two cultures so distant with such different worldviews talk about such similar structures? Was this just a coincidence? Or did the Sumerians touch on fragments of a truth that was preserved in a purer form and revealed more completely in the scriptures? After all, if there is an eternal, omniscient, and omnipresent God, would it be so absurd to imagine that even ancient people had glimpses of this spiritual reality? The invisible temple can be understood as the center of everything that is sacred. It is where God's throne is established. It's where the angels gather. It is where revelations and eternal purposes flow from. In the Old Testament, the earthly tabernacle was only an imperfect copy of this heavenly sanctuary. The Holy of Holies was a shadow of what is in the heavens. This truth is repeated by Moses, by David, by the prophets, and then reaffirmed by Jesus and the apostles. No, it's fiction. It is a spiritual map that points to something infinitely greater than human rituals. If the earthly temple was accessible only to a few, the heavenly one is revealed to those who have spiritual eyes. The invisible temple is the place where the regenerated human spirit connects with the Creator without institutional mediation. And here comes the origin of the soul. If we come from a divine breath, as Genesis 2:7 says, then we are also part of this invisible sanctuary. Our existence is linked to this sacred space. Our identity does not begin in the body nor in the mind. It starts in the spirit, and the spirit is eternal. What the Sumerians kept as a sacred secret was perhaps an attempt to preserve, in their own way, the knowledge that the human soul has a greater purpose than just being born, suffering and dying. They knew there was something beyond the veil, something that needed to be revered. But without the full revelation that the Bible offers, many of these truths have become shrouded in mythology, idolatry, and human interpretations. Even so, his attempts point to something. There was a fear. There was a reverence for that which was invisible, but which governed the visible. And today, thousands of years later, we are still searching for that temple. Many look outside, in religions, in books, in rituals, but they forget that Scripture itself says that we are the temple of the Spirit. Not that we are the invisible temple in its entirety, but that we are a living extension of it, a visible manifestation of what operates in the invisible. When the soul is awakened, it seeks to return to its origin, and this origin is linked to that place where it all began. The invisible temple is not a building. It is not a physical place. It has no address. He is in the heavens, yes, but he also manifests himself in those who surrender to the truth, in those who sincerely seek, in those who let their soul remember where it came from. Because the soul remembers, the soul feels, the soul longs for the place where it was conceived. And maybe that's why you're here now, searching for meaning, searching for answers, searching for the voice that echoes from the Holy of Holies, calling you by name. Now tell me, does this make sense to you? Do you feel that this search is real? That this connection with the invisible is not just imagination? Leave the phrase here in the comments. I am part of the invisible temple, if this message touched you in any way. Also write what you feel when you think about the origin of your soul. I want to read every experience, every insight, because it also edifies others who are on the same journey. And if you haven't left your like yet, now is the time. Your like helps this message reach more people who are spiritually awakening. And if you're here for the first time, take advantage and sign up. We still have much to reveal about the soul, the heavenly temple, and the spiritual mysteries that have been forgotten, but not lost. If the soul does not truly begin here, on this physical plane, then something within us already knows, even if it has no words, that there is an earlier origin, a starting point outside of time, beyond the flesh. The Sumerians, one of the oldest civilizations on record, seemed to be aware of this. For them, the human soul was not the product of chance, nor of a purely material creation. They spoke about a divine breath, a gift from the Anunnaki, celestial beings who, according to their records, came from a higher abode to interact with humanity at key moments in history. This breath was not just vital air, it was something more. It was the breath that brought consciousness, identity, eternity. And here begins the convergence with what is written in the true Holy Bible. In Genesis 2:7 we find one of the most powerful and underrated passages in all of Scripture. And the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. You see, it wasn't enough to form the body. The material structure was there, but it was still just matter without purpose. It was the breath that activated life, that gave rise to the soul, a divine act, a touch of the eternal. From then on, the being began to carry something of the Creator himself, a trace of heaven within the flesh. Now think with me, why would a civilization that lived millennia before Christ talk about something so similar? Did the Sumerians have access to fragments of a spiritual truth that was lost over time? Or could it be that in some way, the original creation was witnessed by them or passed down through oral tradition from the oldest generations of humanity? We know that after the flood, many records were lost, but some truths remained, even if distorted over the ages. What we see in ancient myths are often shadows of the original truth. They are not the truth, but they point to it. The difference is in the source. While the Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki as messengers from heaven, who came to bring order, wisdom, and in some religions, acts, to the essence of life. The Bible presents angels to us as celestial beings sent by God. It also shows us God himself as the giver of life, the one who breathes the spirit. The similarity of the themes is undeniable, but there is a clear dividing line. One is pure, inspired, eternal revelation. The other, a human attempt to decipher what was experienced or intuited at some point in history. And therein lies the mystery. Because if ancient cultures tried in their own way to preserve spiritual truths, then what they knew, or what they tried to remember, deserves to be observed with discernment. The spiritual origin of the soul has never been a total secret. It has always been within reach of those who sincerely seek it. But over time, this truth became covered in symbolism, mythology, and rituals. The simple became complex. The spiritual became religious. The breath became a myth. And yet, something resisted. Something remained. And today, when we turn our eyes to the ancient texts of the Sumerians and compare them to biblical revelation, we realize that there is an echo between them, a silent call that spans the millennia and awakens a memory in the depths of our being. Maybe that's why so many people today feel this emptiness, this disconnection, this longing for something they don't know how to name, because the soul misses its origin, and this origin is not in your cradle, nor in your DNA, nor in the culture where you were born. It's in the spirit. It's in the breath. It is in that moment when eternity touched the earth and life truly began. The soul is not a construction of the brain. It is not a byproduct of the mind. The soul is a living spark from above, a piece of eternity placed within a limited body. And when you feel like there's something beyond, it's because there is. The soul knows where it came from and seeks to return. The Sumerians seemed to understand that there was more to life than eating, working, and dying. They built temples, ziggurats, and ceremonial centers facing the sky. They spoke of ascension, of connection with the gods, of spiritual journeys. Of course, much of this was lost or contaminated by interests and distortions, but the essence was there, the search for reconnection with the divine origin. Today, with so much access to information, technology, and human knowledge, we seem to have forgotten the most important question of all. Where did we really come from? And why are we here? And that's where the sincere study of the Holy Scriptures gives us the route back. The soul came from God, the Spirit was breathed by Him, and the invisible temple, which we mentioned before, is not far away. He is interconnected with the soul that seeks, that listens, that awakens. Nothing that the Sumerians believed is superior to what the Bible reveals to us. But there are parallels that, when observed with humility, show us how spiritual. Truth has always been whispered to humanity, even in the shadows. And now, after all this, I really want to hear from you. What do you feel when you think that your soul wasn't born here, that it came from the breath of God? Tell me in the comments what this does to you. If this message touched you, write below, "I came from the divine breath." And if you believe that other people also need to hear this truth, share this video. Oh, and don't forget, your like and subscription help this message reach other souls who are also seeking the path back to their spiritual home. While the Sumerian records bring echoes of a fragmented spiritual wisdom, wrapped in symbolic and mythological language, the Holy Bible presents itself as a straight line between the origin and purpose of the soul. She doesn't get lost in confusing gods. She doesn't hide behind ambiguous metaphors. She reveals. It illuminates. It separates truth from distortion. While ancient people tried to decipher eternity with natural eyes, the Bible was breathed by God, inspired directly by the one who created the human spirit. And that is why, as we seek to understand the origin of the soul, we need to recognize that all other sources, however intriguing they may be, are limited, fragments of a spiritual memory that only find full meaning in the Word. Unlike the Sumerian tablets, which speak of many gods, of celestial disputes, of a creation marked by manipulation and conflict, the Bible states with authority, there is a single creator, a personal, eternal, all-powerful God. And He created the human being not as a slave, nor as an accident, but as an image and likeness of Himself. This is a detail that changes everything, because a soul that knows it came from the Creator carries within itself an identity that no culture, empire, or system can erase. And this knowledge, This recognition that we are made in the image of God is not mythology. It is the basis of spiritual existence. In Genesis 2:7, the Bible reveals that God formed man from the dust of the ground, matter, body, but only then breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. This breath is more than air. It's more than oxygen. It is the spiritual principle that transforms clay into a living being. It is the spark of eternity entering time. It is God transferring something of his own nature into man. This is not a legend. This is the deepest structure of our spiritual identity, and no matter how much science tries to explain life in biological, chemical, or evolutionary terms, it has never managed to touch on this point. What is consciousness? Where does the spirit come from? Why do we have a sense of right and wrong, of purpose, of eternity? The answer is in the scriptures. The Bible is not opposed to true science. She just goes further. It reveals what science cannot yet reach: the invisible, the immaterial, the eternal. The human soul, from a biblical perspective, is a sacred gift. It carries the seal of the Creator. She has destiny. He has free will. There's a calling, and that call is to return to the origin, to reconnect with the one who breathed it. This is why the Bible never presents the human being as a product of chance or impersonal cosmic forces. On the contrary, each life has incalculable value. Every soul is seen, known, called. This is the opposite of what the world systems try to teach. This confronts the coldness of modern materialism and skepticism, because the Bible does not leave us adrift. It reveals a truth that is firm, solid, alive. Unlike ancient traditions that place spiritual knowledge in the hands of a few initiates, in secret temples or among mysterious priests, the Bible was written for everyone. It has been preserved over the centuries with supernatural care. How many empires tried to destroy it? How many kings banned its reading? How many copies were burned, hidden, silenced? And yet, she remained. It has passed through time, not as just any book, but as a living letter from the eternal to humanity. This is no coincidence, this is purpose. This is divine protection over the truth that frees. And even when we look at ancient cultures like Sumer, we see that they sought something beyond. They thirsted for superior knowledge, for a reality that escaped the senses. But all of this points, even if indirectly, to the full revelation that the Bible gives us. We no longer need to go in circles. The truth has been given. It's accessible. It's alive. It is pulsing in the pages of God's Word. And when you read it with discernment, with humility, and with spiritual hunger, it speaks. It passes through the intellect and touches the spirit. The Word was not made to just be studied. It was made to be lived, experienced. And when you allow yourself to delve into it honestly, it begins to reveal things that were hidden, not because they were secret, but because you weren't ready to see them yet. And that's the turning point. It's not just about reading an ancient text. It's about opening your spiritual eyes. It's about letting the soul remember who it is, where it came from, and where it is being called. And if you're here now, watching this video up to this point, that already says a lot about you. It means your soul is searching for something true. It means that you are no longer satisfied with shallow answers or rigid doctrines. It means that the breath of life still pulses within you, calling, awakening, directing. And the Bible, the true Word, is the map of this return. It is the key that opens understanding, that reveals mysteries, that shows the path. Now I want to hear from you. What does the Bible represent in your spiritual life? Have you ever had a moment when a verse seemed to speak directly to you as if it were a divine answer? Tell me in the comments. And if this part of the video touched you, write below, "The Bible is my truth." Write with faith, because it strengthens you, and it may be exactly what someone needs to read today. Don't forget to leave a like if this content is feeding you spiritually. And if you are not yet registered, sign up now. We still have a lot to discover together. The soul has old memories, and the Bible, with its eternal authority, will help us rescue each one of them. When we look at the Sumerian accounts with spiritual attention and biblical discernment, we realize that there is a layer of information there that cannot be ignored. The so-called clay tablets speak of many gods, celestial hierarchies, cosmic judgments, and even direct interventions in the history of humanity. But when we approach these records with the eyes of truth, it is inevitable to ask, who, in fact, were these gods? Were they creator deities, as some believe? Or were they just manifestations of spiritual beings misinterpreted by a humanity thirsty for explanations. The Bible already gives us the key to begin to decipher this enigma. In Galatians 1:8, for example, the Apostle Paul warns that even if an angel descends from heaven and announces a gospel different from the one that has already been preached, he must be rejected. This shows us that not every spiritual being is necessarily sent by God. Scripture itself is clear that Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light. This means that there are spiritual entities that operate in deception, distortion, and manipulation of the truth. When the Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, they described them as beings from heaven, endowed with advanced knowledge, strength, and authority, but they also feared them. They worshipped them. They offered sacrifices. They built ziggurats to connect with them. These beings were seen as intermediaries between heaven and earth, but that's exactly where the danger lies. Because everything that comes between God and man without having been authorized by God becomes an idol. It becomes a trap. It becomes an obstacle. And many of these Sumerian gods, apparently, were nothing more than fallen angels, corrupted spiritual entities who desired worship, control, and dominion over humanity. It is important to understand that humanity has always had a thirst for transcendence. He always sought explanations for the invisible, for what cannot be touched. And when man does not know the true God, he becomes vulnerable to any spiritual being that manifests itself with the appearance of power. Idolatry is born from this emptiness. The Sumerian gods may well have been part of a spiritualized operation much older than we imagine, a deliberate attempt to divert humans from the path of truth, offering knowledge mixed with deception, fragments of light shrouded in darkness. And when we return to the scriptures, we find echoes of this in passages like Genesis 6, which speak of the sons of God, who took for themselves the daughters of men, generating giants, the Nephilim. There are those who say that these reports were interpreted by ancient people as divine visits, but in fact, they were spiritual violations. They were acts of rebellion against divine order. And it is possible that much of what the Sumerians recorded with awe was actually a serious distortion of spiritual reality. They were recording the manifestation of the rebels, the fallen, the deceivers. But this leads us to an even deeper question. Why did these beings want so much to leave records? Why did they teach astronomy, mathematics, medicine, architecture, and at the same time demand rituals, sacrifices, and submission? The Bible answers this clearly. Because the enemy always tries to imitate what God does. It offers a distorted version of the sacred. He creates structures, priesthoods, rituals, and temples that resemble the truth, but are disconnected from the true source. It's like an adulterated spiritual copy. It seems true, but it is a lie with the appearance of light. It is not difficult to imagine that, among the teachings that these beings passed on to the ancients, there were fragments of the truth. Because a total lie fools no one, but a lie mixed with truth, and that's dangerous. She seduces, she attracts, she convinces. That's why discernment is so necessary. Sumerian records contain symbolic elements that point to real spiritual issues: creation of the soul, divine purpose, connection between heaven and earth. But at the same time, they are contaminated by narratives that glorify entities that the Bible would clearly denounce. The veil of antiquity, of mystical language, of the appearance of wisdom still fascinates many people today. But if we are not grounded in the Bible, we run the risk of seeking answers from sources that only pretend to have light. And here is something essential. The Bible does not prohibit us from investigating, from seeking, from understanding. On the contrary, Proverbs 25:2 says that the glory of God is to cover up a matter, but the glory of kings is to uncover it. The problem isn't in the search, it's in the direction in which that search takes us. Therefore, when delving into the Sumerian mysteries, we need to keep the truth filter activated. We need to remember that the first men, when they moved away from the direct presence of God, began to see the spiritual world through broken lenses. And everything seen through a cracked lens, no matter how real it seems, is distorted. The Sumerian gods may indeed have kept parts of ancient wisdom. Perhaps they had access to secrets about the soul, about eternal destiny, about the invisible temple that we mentioned before. But what did they do with it? Did they illuminate or hide? Did they reveal or manipulate? Did they share or control? This is the tension that remains to this day. Spiritual knowledge can be a bridge or a prison. It can liberate or enslave. It all depends on who is transmitting and the source it all comes from. Therefore, everything needs to be tested, compared, discerned in the light of the Word. Now tell me, have you ever suspected that much of what they call ancient wisdom may be contaminated by spiritual deception? Have you ever noticed how many of these hidden truths that circulate out there seem incomplete, seductive, but emptied of eternal purpose? Comment below. Not every being from above serves the light, if you understand what we are saying here. And also write your honest opinion. What do you think these ancient gods really knew? If this content is opening your mind and feeding your soul, leave a like now. And if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now. The journey continues, and what we reveal next goes even deeper into the spirit. Enoch walked with God and was taken. This phrase, so brief in Scripture, carries one of the greatest spiritual mysteries ever recorded. A man who has not experienced the death of the flesh, a human being who transcended time and crossed the border between the visible and the invisible, simply by walking in intimacy with the Creator. In a world where corruption multiplied, Enoch remained faithful, upright, attentive to the voice of God. And that's why he was taken. Taken where? The answer to this question opens doors to a dimension that goes far beyond natural understanding. And that is precisely why his name resurfaces when we start talking about the invisible temple, the Sumerian gods, and the ancient secrets of the soul. Because although the Book of Enoch is not part of the traditional biblical canon, it is quoted directly in Jude 1:14. This means that the sacred writers knew it, and more than that, they recognized it as a source of valid revelation. And it is in this book that we find stories that are extremely relevant to our spiritual search. Enoch describes a heavenly place, a spiritual realm where beings called watchers dwell. These watchers would be a class of angels sent to earth to observe, protect, and serve divine purposes. But something happened. A part of them rebelled. They crossed established limits. They got corrupted. They taught men to manipulate elements, to practice forbidden arts, to open portals that should never be opened. The result? Judgment, spiritual prison. Enoch states that these fallen watchers were chained in darkness, kept until the day of judgment. But before that, they revealed secrets. And where were these secrets deposited? The text suggests that there was a place where knowledge was sealed, a sacred space, not visible to ordinary men, a celestial temple, possibly the same one that would later be interpreted, distorted, and imitated by ancient civilizations such as Sumer. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki as entities that came from above, possessing celestial wisdom, who guided kings, dictated laws, and altered the course of humanity. They also described a place known as Ekur, the divine mountain, the spiritual center of creation, where the eternal decrees were kept. Now think, could it be that what the Sumerians called Ekur was not the same place that Enoch saw in spirit? Could it be that these Anunnaki were in fact the same watchers mentioned in your book? And if they are the same, could it be that we are facing two versions of the same story? One coming from divine revelation and another shaped by human memories mixed with spiritual deception? The Book of Enoch describes scenes in which he is led to this invisible temple. There, he sees the angels at their work, records the movement of the heavens, the cycle of the stars, the secrets of creation. But he also witnesses the fall, the vigilante rebellion, the transgression of the limit between heaven and earth. And it is interesting to note that while the Sumerians extolled the gods who descended from heaven, Enoch denounces them. What for the Sumerians was power, for Enoch was corruption. What for the Sumerians was light, for Enoch was darkness in disguise. This difference in perspective changes everything. Through Enoch's eyes, we understand that the invisible temple is not just any place. He is the throne of divine justice, the spiritual command center of the universe, the place where every word, every intention, every mystery is kept and administered by order of the Most High. This is where the records of the soul are kept. This is where true life flows from. And that is why fallen spiritual beings tried to imitate this model. They built ziggurats. They established rituals. They instituted priesthoods. Everything to look like heaven, but functioning far from God's will. And if we look with discernment, we will see that humanity has been repeating this pattern ever since. incessant attempts to reconnect with the divine, but through crooked paths, by shortcuts that seem profound, but that lead to deception. Enoch didn't just see the temple. He walked with the one who dwells in the temple. He had access to the true source, and that's why his experience became so dangerous for the corrupted system. Maybe that's why his book was suppressed, forgotten, hidden, but never erased, because the truth always finds a way to return. While the Sumerians built stone monuments, Enoch wrote with the spirit. While the kings cured to dominate the heavens with towers, he was taken to heaven by the Creator himself. This difference is profound, and it needs to be recognized. We're not just talking about ancient myths or lost traditions. We are talking about a spiritual dispute between revelation and distortion, between light and deception, between the true temple and its fraudulent replicas. And maybe, just maybe, the deepest secrets of the soul are not written on stones nor on clay tablets, but rather in the spirits of those who still walk with God today, as Enoch walked, those who are not satisfied with the superficial, who hear the call of the invisible, who recognize when something resonates with the sound of heaven. If this is touching you in any way, if it makes sense to your spirit, tell me here in the comments. Have you ever heard of the Book of Enoch? Do you believe that the Watchers and the Anunnaki could be the same being seen from different perspectives? Right below, Enoch knew the truth. If this revelation spoke to you today, and if this journey is opening your spiritual vision, leave a like right now. This helps the channel a lot and shows that this content has value. And of course, if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now. The next part of this journey goes even deeper into what lies behind the veil. All of this leads us in a single, powerful direction. You. Yes, you are hearing these words now, because we are no longer just talking about ancient records, Sumerian civilizations, watchmen, or forgotten manuscripts. We are talking about what vibrates inside your chest when you hear a truth that cannot be explained but is felt. A truth that does not come from reasoning but from spiritual memory. Because yes, your soul carries memories, not ordinary memories, but memories of heaven, fragments of eternity that resist time, logic, and the distraction of the world. Your soul was not born in chaos. It is not a product of chance. It was not generated by accident. Your soul has divine origin. You were thought of before you were formed. You were called before you heard. You were blown away before you could breathe. There is an eternal plan in action from the moment God placed His breath in you. And that's why, no matter how much the world tries to silence you, distract you, anesthetize you, put you to sleep, there's something in you that still pulses, a headquarters, a restlessness, a longing that has no name, but that makes you look for it, even without knowing exactly what. This longing is the calling. It is the echo of its origin. It is the soul seeking to return home. And here is one of the greatest mysteries that few dare touch. The invisible temple we mentioned before, that sacred place where the heavenly records are kept, is not as far away as many think. He is in heaven, yes. He is real, absolute, eternal. But it also manifests within you, not symbolically, not as a metaphor, but as a spiritual space, a meeting point between creation and the Creator, where the spirit connects with the source, where the truth reveals itself when it is sought with reverence. But this temple does not open with empty curiosity. It does not respond to haste or ego. He responds to the sincere search, to the deep thirst, to the brokenness of those who say, I can no longer live a meaningless life. I need the truth. And when that search is true, something happens. The soul awakens. Start to remember. You begin to hear what your natural ears cannot hear. Begin to see what cannot be seen with carnal eyes. The presence of God is not something that can be explained. It is something that can be found. And when you find it, it's never the same. Maybe that's why you've felt this silent calling for so long. A call that the system we live in tries to suffocate with distractions, with rush, with fear, with empty entertainment. But even when everything around seems like noise, your soul still whispers, still crying. He still extends his hand, because its essence came from above, and what came from above only finds peace when it returns to its origin. This is the struggle that many people live without knowing it, a constant feeling of being incomplete, as if something was missing. But what's missing isn't something, it's someone, and that someone is waiting for you to return. The good news is that this Return journey does not depend on religions, physical temples, or human formulas. It depends on your inner disposition, from your authentic desire to return to presence. Because the invisible temple, this spiritual sanctuary where everything makes sense, is not accessed by status nor by effort but by surrender, and a surrendered soul, a soul that surrenders to the truth, finds open doors. The answers don't come all at once, but peace begins to grow, and with it comes the memory, you were never alone. The voice of God has always been calling, in the silence, in pain, in the voids, on the signs, in the questions that no one could answer. And if you feel it now, if your heart is racing, if your eyes water, if something inside you is awakening, then understand, it is not emotion, it's revelation. It is the spirit touching the spirit. It is the truth knocking on the door of your inner temple. Your soul recognizes the voice of origin, and she is asking you to stop, silence, and listen. The world will keep trying to pull you away, but if you continue in this sincere search, nothing will stop you from returning, because God never closes the door on a soul that wants to return home. And when you understand that the temple is not a place but a state of communion, everything changes. Life changes. The way you see people changes. The questions stop hurting, because even without all the answers, you start walking with the one who is the answer itself. And even in the midst of the darkness of the world, you begin to see light within yourself, because this light is the reflection of the Creator's presence within your soul. And now I want to hear from you. I want to hear your voice. What are you feeling while listening to this message? Have you ever felt this silent call of the soul? This feeling that your origin is greater than everything the world tries to show you? Tell me here in the comments. Write the phrase, "My soul is coming back," if you felt that this video spoke to you in a personal, deep, true way. Write without fear, with sincerity. This strengthens your journey and can awaken other souls who are still sleeping. If this message touched something inside you, leave a like now. This helps this video reach more people who need to hear exactly that. And if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now. There is still a lot to be revealed, and you are not here by chance. The soul that seeks always finds, and what comes next could change everything. You've come this far, not by chance. Something in you decided to listen until the end, and it wasn't just curiosity. It was hunger, real hunger, hunger for meaning. And everything we've talked about so far, from the ancient Sumerian records, to the watchers in the book of Enoch, to the invisible temple that pulses within the spirit, has brought us to this point, the awakening of the soul, the awareness that you came from a sacred, invisible, eternal place, and that something is calling you back. But if the soul's origin is in God's divine breath and eternal plan, there is another question that needs to be asked, and answered reverently. Where does the soul go? What is your final destination? This question echoes within all of us, because deep down, every human being knows that this existence is not the end, that there is something later, something that transcends flesh, matter, time. And here, we are led to the most intense and enigmatic revelation of all, the last book of the Bible, the Apocalypse. A book that doesn't just talk about the end, but about fulfillment, of harvest, of restoration and justice. A book where the heavenly temple is revealed again, not as a mystery, but as a reality, where the soul, finally, is confronted with what it has become in the face of eternal light. In Revelation, we find scenes of thrones, of books being opened, of records being examined. We find the souls of the righteous crying out under the altar. We find the book of life being revealed, and with it, the names that remain. And that's where everything we've talked about so far connects. The invisible temple, the breath of life, the personal calling, the discernment between the beings of light and those of deception. All of this culminates at this point, because the destiny of the soul is not an abstract idea. It is being sealed now, with every choice, with every thought, with every step toward the light or the shadows. And the most impressive thing is that Revelation is not just a book of judgment, it is also a book of hope. It reveals the fall of the corrupt system that deceived the nations. He exposes the truth behind the false prophets, the spiritual deceptions, the empires that rose up against the Most High, and at the same time he honors those who remained faithful, those who did not bow, those who heard the call and returned, those who won, and these are called the children of light. But who are the children of light? Is it just a pretty title? Or will it be a real spiritual identity, marked in the soul, visible only in the spirit, recognized in heaven? The Apocalypse talks about them. It talks about those who washed their clothes, who kept the faith, who overcame the beast, the system, and the world, not because they were perfect, but because they were faithful, because they chose the truth, even when it cost everything, because they followed the light, even when everything around them was darkness. And here again, the connection with the invisible temple intensifies, because in the center of the New Jerusalem, the heavenly city, there is no physical temple, there is no stone structure, because the Lord Himself is the temple. The divine presence is total, communion is full, the separation between heaven and soul disappears, and those who seek now, who awaken now, will be those who dwell there, who will see with spiritual eyes what only faith can achieve, move on at this time. And that's not religion, this is destiny. It is spiritual inheritance. The soul that hears, that feels, that recognizes its divine origin also needs to recognize its responsibility towards destiny, because it's not enough to just know that you came from God. You have to decide if you are going to return to Him. And that decision happens now in every act of surrender and every search for truth, every time you choose light over deception. And all of this is described in the last book, not as a threat, but as a map, as a revelation, as an invitation. You are not created to get lost. You are not created to wander meaninglessly. There is a greater purpose operating behind all of this. And when the soul aligns with this purpose, something supernatural begins to happen. The temple manifests, the light turns on, the name is recognized, and life, true life, begins to pulsate from the inside out. Because in the end, it's not about religion, it's not about dogma, it's not about theory, it's about spiritual reality, it's about eternal destiny, and all of this is about to be revealed more clearly than ever. So, if you've come this far, if your soul has felt the weight and glory of these words, if you know there's something more waiting to be discovered, get ready. Because what the Apocalypse reveals about the destiny of the soul, about the book of life, about the seals, the judgments, the saints, and the vanquished, this will transform the way you see everything. It will expand your spiritual awareness. It will wake you up even more, because the end is just the beginning for those who walk in the light. Now tell me here in the comments, have you read the book of Revelation? Which part impacted you the most, or left you silent, reflecting on eternal destiny? Right below. My soul belongs to the light. If this message made something pulse stronger within you, and if you're feeling like you need to continue this journey, leave a like now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we'll dive right into this last book, and what's there will move you. If you've stayed this far, it's because something inside you is awakening. Your soul didn't just hear, it acknowledged. And if this touched your spirit, don't let that connection get lost. Subscribe to the channel now. Activate the bell, because together, we will continue to unveil spiritual mysteries that the world insists on hiding. And tell me here in the comments, I heard the call of the soul. Write this with faith, to seal thou what was awakened today, and to inspire others who are on the same silent journey as you. Oh, and if this message really spoke to you, leave a like. It's not just a button, it's a sign that this content needs to reach more souls hungry for truth. And now, stay with me. Click on the video that appears here on the left side of the screen. That's where the next revelation awaits you, and it will make you see the Apocalypse with eyes you've never used before. The journey continues.